I'm Michelle Noyes. I'm the current Student Government Vice President, and I'm running for President. Make than it already is. Sorry about that. And I'm a business major here. Hi everyone, my name is Marlene Pelayo. I'm running as Vice President. I currently serve as Director of Operations for Student Government. I grew up in Oxnard my whole life, so I am a commuter student. I'm also a communications major, and I believe I said I was a junior, right? Okay. And a fun fact, I like tacos.
All right, well, thank you. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of the questions for the debate. The first set of questions will be directed towards Michelle, who is running for president. You'll have about 2 to 3 minutes per response. So first question is, as student government president, you'll be a part of the ASI board of directors. What do you feel are the greatest weaknesses of ASI as a whole, and how do you plan to strengthen the organization?
Being a part of the ASI board, I think that ASI isn't really known by students. You have to explain it even though students pay a fee to have ASI on campus. And I think that we should have ASI more around campus involved, not have to host like any more events than we currently do, but make students educated. What is ASI, what we can do to help, why we're here.
All right. And as you know, from your current position as president, you're responsible for attending meetings throughout the state of California for the California State Student Association, also known as CSSA. What are the current important issues at CSSA, and how do you plan on informing the student body about these issues?
This year, I've had the opportunity to attend quite a few of the CSSAs in California, and some of the very large issues at other universities and that affect ours is the tuition affordability. And so far this year, we have advertised the SURF. That was a new fee this year. It's only $2 a semester, but some students do not have the $2 to pay, and that's something that we've talked about in our student government meetings, which we have documented in the minutes, and that is part of our campaign next year, is to keep the fees and tuition where it is to make the university affordable. Another issue that's been brought up at CSSA is the centers on the campuses for underrepresented students, and that's something that we're actually working on in student government right now to have more resources for their students.
And so kind of going off of that, other than issues going across the CSU, what are some of the issues today happening at CI that you feel need to be addressed?
I'm just going to start with parking because it's the #1 complaint thing. It may not be our largest issue, but it's definitely complained about. So we will be addressing that by trying to work with parking, potentially having a different parking pass, different amounts if you come different days of the week, promoting alternative transportation, which is also more affordable than driving a car to campus. And can I take that one more time?
So what are some of the contemporary issues within the CI student body and how that needs to be addressed?
Okay. So even though parking is not the largest, it's definitely the most talked about, but also the underrepresented, having everyone be inclusive at our university, because there have been some things this year that maybe students feel left out, and that's something that we've tried to address, but it's something we'll still be working on, so everyone does feel included at the school, because it's not my university, it's ours.
So the next question is, the position of president requires a student to work 20 hours per week, serve on multiple committees, travel to monthly CSSA meetings across California, attend numerous on-campus meetings every week. So what are ways that your experience as vice president now has prepared you to effectively manage your time as president?
This year, I am currently working 20 hours a week and taking a full amount of units. Next year, I think I'll be prepared, because this year I was working the 20 hours. I sit on numerous committees around campus, have a countless amount of meetings every week, and I think that definitely prepares me. Although going into the position, I don't think anyone is completely prepared, because it's more demanding than the vice president position. There's a lot of different things all around campus, but I think that's just something, being organized and prepared as I have been this year, that I'll be able to work through it my best that I possibly can. But it will definitely take work getting through and just keeping ahead of time on my schoolwork so I can be at all of those meetings and be prepared, even if they're on campus, in the community, or across the state of California.
Awesome. And so earlier you mentioned students not being aware enough of ASI or even student government. So how will you increase the awareness of the significance of the position, of your position, to the wide range of students that we have on campus?
Having everyone know about ASI is more than just one person's work. It definitely takes all of ASI, all of student government, to make us more known. That includes advertising our events even more than they currently are on campus, talking to students, because not all students will go out and seek to see what ASI is, but actually going up and attending their meetings, speaking in class to students. All of ASI members can definitely do that, and trying to reach the students who aren't involved on campus. That can be something just in the parking lot by the bus stop when students are coming to campus, to get them more informed, hand out flyers for our events, things that are going on campus, try to explain to them that we're part of student government, what student government does. This year we've been working on that, but it definitely can still improve.
Awesome, thank you, Michelle. So the next set of questions are going to be directed towards Marlene. Again, you will have 2 to 3 minutes to respond. So the first question is, as student government vice president, you will be the chairperson of the Senate. What do you think the role of the student government Senate is, and how do you plan to motivate senators in order to ensure proper representation of the entire student population?
So besides our position, senators are the other positions that are elected by students. So overall, their positions are to represent the students themselves. And so what they do is basically they represent their interests in the Senate, and that's the most important part. So as my role as vice president, I definitely want to work on motivating them to take on projects that the students definitely feel that there's a need for on our campus. And the way that I would go about doing that is providing them with the tools they need, who they need to get in contact with, and kind of offering words of encouragement, because ultimately that's what everyone needs, is words of encouragement. They need to be able to push forward even when they're feeling down a little bit. It's important to let them know that they're not alone and they have a whole team behind them to help them accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Thank you. So kind of a similar question that I asked Michelle. How do you plan to effectively manage your time as vice president?
So currently, since I do serve as director of operations, I work only 10 hours, so I will be working 20 hours if I do get this vice president position. And I don't think it's difficult to manage your time. I mean, it definitely is when you're taking on these different roles, but I think if you love what you're doing, it kind of goes by really fast and you don't really realize that it's a job. It's more of a, I don't even know how to put it. It gives you like a rush that you're helping improve our campus. So it's like, it doesn't even seem like a big deal to me that it's going to be stressful. I would do it in a heartbeat if it meant jumping right into the job right now. So for me, it's not really an issue of how I would manage my time. It's going to be more of trying to tell myself, I need to take on what I can and not take on too much. So I don't think managing my time is going to be much issue, especially when you have tools like your calendar or your planner. I think those things are going to be definitely helpful.
So what are some of the characteristics that you as a leader possess and will bring to the position that will help promote growth in the students around you?
It's not always fun talking about yourself, I will say that. And I guess it seems like bragging a little bit, but I noticed that a lot of people tell me that I'm a very positive person, and kind of my energy is contagious a little bit. So I really appreciate when students tell me that, and it makes me want to continue to be that positive influence in their life, and kind of again pushing them forward, which is what I plan on doing with senators as well. Another quality I think that is helpful when it comes to being a leader is just kind of leading by example. I know in nonprofit leadership management class, as a communication major, we have to take that class. It says lead by example. If you're not willing to do the job yourself, how do you expect other people that you are serving or right helping to do the same job as well. So I think a lot of it is leading by example, and I think that's something a true leader should exemplify.
All right. So as the Vice President for Student Government, you often serve in a supportive role to the President. How do you plan on creating a positive working relationship with the President while ensuring effective communication in order to properly represent the student body?
So when it comes to effective communication, I think a lot of the things I've learned from this year is the way that Michelle, as the current Vice President, Monique communicate, and that is they keep each other in the loop all the time, whether that's in emails or meetings. It's just kind of keeping that constant communication. Even if it doesn't really involve them, it's nice to tell them what's going on at all times, and that way they're not caught off guard when something is mentioned. So I think maintaining that constant communication through meetings and emails is definitely something that should be done. I also think Michelle and I we're very cohesive, and even when we see each other, we have like these meaningful conversations on what we're working on already. So I don't think it would be an issue trying to do that next year as well.
All right, thank you, Marlene. So the next set of questions, these are 3 to 4 minutes in response, will be directed to both of you. So the first question is, a significant component of leadership is learning from your mistakes and growing from those experiences. Please give us an example of a mistake you have made and describe how it made you a stronger leader.
Something this year that I would have done differently is I wasn't supportive of every single student, where they came from, not in specific, but I didn't understand some things. And so it was hard to support something that you didn't fully understand and comprehend. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned, is that you have to represent all of our students. They go here, they're elected student body president, and that's something that you need to hear their sides, and even if you don't agree with something, you definitely still need to support it because they are students here.
I can't name a specific situation, but this is definitely something I noticed at the beginning of working with student government, and that is not speaking up when I should have. I know a lot of the times I'm very much a people pleaser, at least I started that way, and I always wanted to take on like things that people were telling me, and I couldn't really do everything at the same time, and I always just wanted to like be helpful to everyone, and it was starting to become an issue. And I think for me a mistake was not telling people when enough was enough, and when telling people that I had to kind of put my foot down on certain things and state my opinions, because it's not always going to be like rainbows and butterflies. You need to tell things the way they are, and I think that was kind of a mistake that I was making early on. But I think I've learned a lot from it, especially from the senators. They've taught me a lot about speaking up. President and Vice President currently have taught me a lot about that, and I definitely think it's something I've learned along the way.
All right. So Associated Students Incorporated, ASI, encompasses various mission statements towards the entities, students, and CI community. What do you believe is the main mission of ASI, and how would you spread that mission to CI students?
So I think the role that ASI plays is fostering that CI community feeling. We have student programming board, we have the nautical, we have newspaper, and then we have student government. And I think we all have a different role within ASI to provide students with that sense of community and the sense that they belong on campus. And I think that even though it's not really stated all the time, I think overall in general that's something that we do as ASI.
Although this university definitely is student-centered, ASI is really the place that is run by students. The ASI board and the 4 entities, it's not only students, because we do work with administration and faculty, but it's our place to voice our opinions, and it's our place for the students to be leaders on campus and have their own part of campus. Even though that CI is really a community, this is our place as ASI.
Thank you. Compared to other campuses in the CSU system, CI is constantly hard at work to meet diverse needs of its student body. How do you plan as leaders to be inclusive, and what are some of the ways that you intend to promote inclusion across campus?
ASI is definitely a diverse campus, and we still have a lot of work to do because we are so young that we don't maybe have all of the resources on campus that students want and need, but that's something that we will work on, even if it's a student government event, for more inclusive, including more students, representing different areas on campus, or different backgrounds and diversity and different opinions. That's, I think, where student government can step in, is make those students feel part of the campus even more, that we are representing them, and even if they don't agree on something, that they can at least have their voice be heard. And that's when students really need to come to student government, because we can go out and try and talk to students as much as we want, but students need to express those feelings. So if there's a problem, they need to bring it to student government, they need to talk to someone if they're asked about it, and really bring it up to make it a conversation.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Michelle just said, I think a lot of times it just takes talking to your constituent groups. I mean, I grew up in Oxnard, I'm proud Latina from Oxnard, and my needs are different than a housing student from Orange County. So I don't know what they need, I don't know what their experience has been, so a lot of times it takes inviting them to the table and talking about what do you need, and how are my needs different than yours, what could we do to better serve the community. A lot of times it just takes that talking through it, you know, and bringing them to the table, inviting them to those student government meetings, including them in not just student government meetings, but inviting them into those committee meetings as well, those speak committees. Those are a lot of the times that decisions are made with what is done with student money, and a lot of students don't know that they can serve in those committees, and a lot of the time you want to make sure that you bring that to their awareness, bring that into their site, and tell them that you can serve on these committees, like you can come to the table and voice your opinions and state what you believe, and talk about your needs and the needs of your friends and the needs of those you talk to. And I think a lot of times it's just knowing, like letting them know that they can be included in all of these bigger things besides just going to class and going to club meetings.
All right, thank you. So although student leaders tend to step into roles with new plans and projects in mind, there are often things going on behind the scenes that were started before they took office. What are some ways in which you intend to balance the new projects that you have in mind with pre-existing and ongoing initiatives of student government?
Currently in student government, there's working on a food pantry, and that would be for, it would be on campus for every student who goes here, and we're working on sustainability and some type of multicultural type center. It's not completely finalized, but those would be things that we would definitely want to move into next year with some of our projects. These things are more finishing up next year and continuing on. I don't think it would step in the way of what we want to start, because we'd be starting that this summer, trying to complete the other ones, because even if it was started by someone else who may be graduating, it's still a student government initiative, and it's still something that is important to us. If a student brought it up, we respect everyone's opinions and their ideas, and we still want to complete that project.
So I think that a lot of the times it does depend on your team, and I mean, we're working on these projects now, but you're going to have senators coming in next semester or next year, and they don't know what's going on. So a lot of times it's kind of informing them on the current projects that we're working on and seeing if they're interested in working on any of those projects. A lot of the times they might develop such a big interest for them that they might just want to take it on themselves, so we can be that support system for them and like lead them through what we have already, and then have them kind of continue it on. And then another thing that we could also work on doing is having them kind of use us as tools in terms of where we can like show them to, what directions that we can point them to in terms of who they can talk to on campus. We could also kind of give them, we have transition reports. So those transition reports often tell them like what has been worked on in the past, and can kind of guide them through those future projects that they want to work on. Like Michelle said, we're currently working on the food pantry. We have 2 resolutions in the works, and those are some things that we want to continue as well. And then we also have a few projects that senators are kind of taking on, but they'll be graduating soon. So I think that's something that they can include in their transition reports, and that we want to take on for next year and help those projects get completed.
To
add on to Marlene about the senators, we have new senators coming in. We're constantly recruiting new members for student government, new freshmen. They may not have a project by themselves because they still need to talk to students, but that's something that a current project, we could let them in on it, we could share it with them. Not every project Marlene and myself will be guiding, but that's something student government as a whole can work on.
So as you both may know, the campus is going through a new transition era into a new era of presidency and leadership. How will you work to be a liaison between the new university president and the student body?
Last week, I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Beck and introduce myself that I was going to be in the role of student government president, and she seemed very welcoming. It will be great to have a president with such new ideas, and part of our platform is actually to have an event similar to Pizza with the President where students can come meet her, because students over the years, they get to know President Rush, they've seen him at other events, they've met him before, but no one knows Dr. Beck. So that's really our job, is to be the liaison, to invite her to some of our events, students attending some of the campus-wide events to get to see who she is, hear her speak, introduce themselves, and we will definitely be planning that event, hopefully like both semesters, so students can come out and see who their new president is. And then I will be working with her on committees and meeting with her to keep students updated anything that's happening on campus.
So unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to meet future President Beck yet, and I know that our provost is also leaving as well. She'll be serving in the role as president at Chico, and we're so very happy to see her lead in that direction. Although it's sad to see her go, we're happy that she's going on to Chico, where she's from. But I know that Michelle's going to be serving in a lot of those committees with the incoming president. And it's not going to be so much me, but for me, since I will be working more with senators, kind of leeway in that communication, that what Michelle tells me that I can tell the senators, and how that can get communicated to students on what's getting done on the administration standpoint as well.
All right, so I have one final question for you. Why should we, the students, vote for you?
We care about this campus so much. Like I said, if I could, I'd jump into that position right now. But it not only just cares about, and it's not only caring about the campus, it's also knowing what you can and cannot do in terms of your role. And I think a lot of the times that we've been in these positions currently with Director of Operations and Vice President, we've learned so much from ASI staff and from senators currently serving, and from the president right now, and from other members from other entities in the student union and administration. We've just learned so much that I feel like could come into this role now for next year, especially like Alex said, in this transition period. And I think it takes a lot to work in these two positions, and I think having that past knowledge on what you can and cannot do and how you're willing to do it can play a lot in how things can go for the next year.
Marlene and I truly do care about the CI students, because that's who we're representing. We love going out, just talking to students, even if it's in class, when we're buying food or anything, just to hear their perspective. We really want to represent all 6,000 students who go here. It's a very large task, but the experience that we've had in student government this year, we've learned a lot. We've made connections on campus, who we need to talk to if we need something, a certain department, which channels to go through to get something done, and our experience and our passion will definitely make for a great year next year.
Cool, thank you. I'll give you guys the opportunity if you guys have any closing statements, anything you guys want to add.
Actually, I know there's not that many people here, but I was wondering, are we allowed to take questions? If we can ask for if anyone wants to?
Yeah, if there's any students in the
there any
audience that want to ask a question.
No? Okay, I just wanted to make sure you know. I mean, we all kind of pretty much summed it up in that last question on why you should vote for us. I think it's just a lot of it has to do with kind of what you've learned in this current role, and how you're willing to transition those skills and that past experience into the role you're trying to come into. And a lot of times it's just caring for students and the passion you have for it. And how much work you're willing to put into it. And I think Michelle and I are willing to put in a lot of the work into it because we just care so much and we love this campus so much. Again, we are CI and we definitely truly take that to heart.
Thank you those who showed up today. Elections are next week, so we really ask for your support in making sure that you vote and spreading on the word. Please search our platform. It's ASI Elections, and you can find our platform on there. And then we have a Facebook page that's Noise Palaio. Please go look at it and see what we want to do for the campus. And then if you see any of us around, we are always happy to hear what you want for next year too.
So as they mentioned, that elections will be taking place next week from the 19th to the 20th. So please keep an eye out for an email that will include a link that will take you to the ballot. We really appreciate the support that you all as students provide to, keep ASI running. So, but at this time, this concludes our debate. Like they mentioned, please find them on social media, email them. If you have any further questions regarding their campaign. But thank you everyone who were in attendance.